it's already live. Namaste. Good afternoon, everybody. We hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining today's stream. We have a really exciting topic, very helpful and practical, and much needed into today's situation in the world. Especially, we're talking about how to mend a breaking relationship, and this can apply basically to all types of relationships, not just marriage relationships, but those are, of course, the main ones that we will focus on the most. So you might have had a busy day as well so far, and so let's focus now on our deep breathing and Goranga meditation so we can calm down the mind, relax the body. This is your time for relaxation, for introspection. So just observe your breath for a moment. You can see if it's shallow or deep. Don't try to control it. It's actually very beneficial when we can do deep abdominal breathing more, where actually the oxygen goes all the way to the abdomen. And as we inhale deeply, the abdomen expands. Then we hold our breath for maybe 4 to 5 seconds, and then we exhale. Okay, now we will be adding the mantra Gora Anga to our deep breathing. This is a spiritual sound which actually has a great spiritual potency. It has great purifying abilities, and therefore, when we come in contact with a spiritual sound vibration, it actually purifies our hearts and our minds. It makes us feel very refreshed and clean. So as we inhale, we can say the mantra Gora Anga silently to our mind. Then we hold our breath. And then we exhale out loud through the mouth and say Gora Anga. Okay, so now let's start and let's inhale. Gora Anga. Gora Anga. Gora Anga. Gora Anga. Two more. Gora Anga. Gora After practicing this Guranga deep breathing meditation, you should feel a noticeable improvement, more relaxed, more calm, in a better state of mind to be able to make um, calm decisions, to be mindful, where we consider what are the results of our choices, that different actions actually they will they will have different reactions, so that we don't just act impulsively. So I hope the um, sound is good for everyone. And we will now continue with our music mantra meditation. We will still be using the mantra Go Va Anga, but we're going to be using a musical instrument and melody. So So now let's have a few moments for introspection, silence. So we will try to share the ancient wisdom we have been given by our teacher. This is not my opinion. I'm not a science fiction writer. And this is actually truth that has withstood the change of time, that is actually always true. There is such a thing as eternal or absolute truth, not ever changing relative truth that is dependent on circumstances, time, space, and in this material dimension. So we will speak today about relationship tips, how we can mend a breaking relationship, but also how we can prevent this from occurring in first place. Yeah, how we can actually become better individuals, because then we will have better relationships. It is automatic. Those two things are connected, and so we will be looking at the societies, how they have changed so much in the last few decades. Yeah, people have changed so much that actually, especially the younger generation, does not have as much patience anymore for things to work out over time. Yeah, the emphasis is on instant gratification. That's why video games are so popular. Yeah, that's why ice cream is very popular. We can get something and bring it in contact with our senses. There's immediately some excitement, some flash, some stimulation. But it passes very quickly. And that type of pleasure is not enough to actually satisfy us deeply within. What we're looking for is deeper, lasting happiness, actually, not just something that I can pass over my tongue, or that I can see for a moment and then it's gone. It might be the nicest thing. And we're not saying these things are bad. They are part of being in this material dimension. Yeah. But there is more to our human journey, to our existence, than just having this eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Yeah. There is actually a real spiritual purpose to our existence. And when we can try to spiritualize our human journey, our relationships will actually become a source of pleasure rather than being a source of pain. So we were saying that basically, and this is something that the generation of our parents is observing even more so than our generation, is that the young people nowadays, they have so little patience, so little tolerance. When something goes wrong, just like something does not work out quickly, then the feeling usually is that it's not worth continuing. And so this is part of the whole throwaway society that has become very common, especially in Western countries. Yeah, if it doesn't work very well, discard it, throw it away, try something new, get something new. And in the old days, many things would get fixed for a long time before they were being discarded. People would wear their clothes until they wear out. Yeah, and then they get something as they need. People didn't have like endless desire for lots of new things all the time. And this is actually not been one of the very good changes. That actually people nowadays in Western countries, they hardly fix anything anymore. It's usually more expensive to try to fix something than just to buy something new. So you can see people throw out couches, that are still looking pretty decent. They throw out other appliances, and it's just sitting there on the sidewalk. You can see that in many countries around the world. And even funnier, people, nobody wants it. Nobody picks it up. If you had this in an Asian country, for example, there would be like 10 people within a minute or two, and they're all carried away, it's like, so it's quite interesting. You can see the different values in different um, places. So this type of throwaway society does not only create a lot more garbage, but the real problem is when this mindset is also applied to relationships. Yeah, at the first sight of any challenge or problem, people just, that thought is there immediately, just like, oh no, another lose, another bad relationship. Maybe I should just dump this person or leave or something. Rather than thinking that maybe the problem is with me. Maybe my approach, my attitude, what I want out of relationships, what I'm looking for in the other person, how I'm selecting others, you know. So maybe the problem is actually mostly with me, but usually people think, oh, I'm so perfect, the problem couldn't possibly be with me. The problem must be that I just haven't found the right person yet. Yeah, so I'm looking for someone better usually. Yeah, so people think that way. Oh, I just want to upgrade. So then, we need to consider carefully, what are the reasons to carry on in a relationship? Yeah, so this question actually forces us to look closely at the reason and why, and the motivation why we entered a relationship in first place. So of course we cannot choose our parents and siblings, but we can choose our friends, our spouses. And so what do we expect from relationships in this world? Do we expect others to make us happy? Do we expect to become completely satisfied from these relationships? Or do we just want to have a pleasant partnership where both parties can help each other on this human journey? We're not expecting the other person to be perfect, to actually make me completely happy. In other words, is it about taking or is it about giving? Yeah, so in any relationship, we should actually consider that the other person is not mine. Yeah, we are all eternal spiritual beings. We have existed before we had the current human bodies, and we will continue to exist when we leave this body. And so we can never actually own another living being. We can temporarily be playing that role of a caretaker. Maybe we're a parent of somebody, or we have a pet or something, and that is good. We should try to do the best we can to take very good care of everybody, actually, who comes temporarily under our care. But eternally, everybody is a spiritual personality, and we belong in the spiritual world. That is our real home. So if there is a problem in a challenge in a relationship, so it could be for many reasons, actually. It could be we have our expectations are too high. We're expecting the other person to be perfect, and we find out sooner or later they're not. We're not so much aware of our own imperfections. Rather, we think, oh, if the other person's perfect, everything will be great, right? But actually, it could also be that one of the two persons might just be going through a difficult time. And they're just angry, grumpy, moody. And so if we see that another person is having a bit of a struggle, yeah, so they're not doing so well, they're not doing as well as they used to, then do we get angry at them for this struggle? Do we try to put them down, accuse them of being in a bad mood? Or are we feeling a little bit of compassion? Do we actually want to try to help them? In other words, are we there to be like a real friend, unconditional, right? Unconditional love is actually what we're all looking for, whether we know it or not. We don't want to, be loved because I have a big bank account or have a, Rolls Royce, or, or for the ladies, sometimes they have this amazing realization, and they say, you don't really love me, all you want is my body. Just like, wow, what a potent statement. Yeah, what does that imply? That the person is not the body. Yeah, we can just look at somebody else with that material vision consciousness. I want to enjoy that particular body. It's like a hunk of flesh, basically, right? It may look very pretty or something, but it is what it is. Yeah, it's material energy put together in a certain way. But there's a person inside the body who is not the body, who is operating the body, but who and we can notice it very, very easily when somebody's just trying to use us. Yeah, they're trying to take advantage of us in some way. They don't really care about me. Maybe they're attracted to my body, but it actually becomes like, I don't like it because you're not relating to me. You're just taking, using. Yeah. So we got to be careful, that we don't end up in a relationship like that. Yeah. We want to be in a relationship where there's actually real caring, where actually a person is a well-wisher of the other, and they try to assist them in whatever way they can on this human journey. Yeah, that actually the most important thing is actually, where are we going to end up after this human journey comes to an end? Yes, so what type of choices are we making now? Are we preparing for a better future? Are we making a conscious decision? We're making certain goals that's what I want to accomplish in this particular human journey. And then if you have two people who have compatible goals, who want to accomplish basically more or less the same thing in this human journey, then they can perfectly assist each other and help each other. And when somebody goes a little bit off the path, oh, no, come here, we have to move in that direction. Yeah. So it's just like you're in a jungle and you're trying to find your way out towards a really good destination. There's many paths and some obstacles and some darkness and some problems. We're not always sure which way to go, unless we have a good guiding light. Yeah, we have a compass, we have a direction in our journey. We know exactly where we are now and where we need to go, and we need to know how to get there. So in relationships can either help us to move in a direction, or they can actually be really a big hindrance and take us on big detours. So every relationship, they will go through rough patches where the foundation of the relationship will be tested. Yeah, where the real personality of both persons will come to the surface. Are they actually forgiving, or do they hold on to anger and just will never forgive? They just expect the other person to do all the changes, to do all the work basically for the relationship. It's like, no, it's like, I've had it, I'm doing my part, but you're not doing your part. That kind of attitude is very destructive. Even if one person is contributing more, or is maybe not at fault as much as the other, it's still always better to come from the heart, to come with an approach of support and caring and helping. And so we have to figure out what is our common goal in the relationship. Yeah, so not what is my personal desire and the other person's personal desire is in conflict with that. Yes. So do we have a bigger purpose than just trying to please each other? Yeah. So are we trying to spiritualize our relationship? Are we trying to make it a relationship of real spiritual love? Yeah. And if we focus on the potential, on the real spiritual potential, the bigger picture, then so many of these smaller and passing issues are seen in the correct light. They're actually not even worth arguing about. Yeah, and like, whether you put something here or there, or you use one spice or one thing in that cooking or not, or which clothes you might be wearing or something. There might be better ways to do many things, but it's not the most important thing, obviously, in our existence. So rather than making a big deal out of it, we try to do the best we can to do a good job with all the little tasks and responsibilities we have, but don't spend all your time focusing on that. Yeah, we should actually focus on trying to improve ourselves, not try to improve the other person or force the other person to change or else I'm going to leave. It's like, no, actually, I should be the change that I want to see in the world. Yeah. So that we already know we're not going to expect the other person to be perfect. We actually overlook the imperfections and try to see the good in others. Yeah. So when somebody else has maybe 3 good things they did in a week or 3 good qualities, but they have 5 not so good things they did that week and maybe some bad habits or qualities, what do we usually do? Do we go out of our way to praise the good things? Or do we only notice the bad things? Or we only say, when there's a bad thing? Yeah. So, and so do we have that attitude that we are often complaining and not praising much? And we can see this very, very quickly also in ourselves. Let's say if we want to write a review, you have an account maybe with TripAdvisor or someplace, and you've just been traveling. And then which ones are you going to focus on? Are you going to focus on the ones that were really, really good, or are you going to be motivated to only write one review about the place you didn't like? But you're not, writing any good reviews. All the reviews you're writing are always complaining. Yeah. So it's kind of funny actually, but it's also sad because we should be encouraging whatever good we see in others, whatever good we see in this world. Yeah, we shouldn't try to spend all of our time cursing the darkness and all the imperfections and all the problems. So let it be. This world is imperfect for a reason, but we have within our control how we respond to all this darkness, all these problems, and also what kind of person do I want to be? If I'm becoming more introspective and I'm looking at myself and I'm maybe being a little bit prayerful, just like I want to become a better person. And instead of spending so much time and energy focusing on trying to change others, it's much more productive if I actually redirect this inward. So when there are challenges in a relationship, the key thing is actually to be supportive, to try to love unconditionally. So of course, many things that might happen are not beneficial or not good, and some other things should not be tolerated. Yeah. If there is some kind of abuse, maybe it's verbal or something bad was done or something, we need to point this out for sure. But we can still do this in a way that is, with some care rather than just shouting or screaming and being all consumed by anger. That's not going to have a very good outcome. People will actually be much more receptive and more likely to consider what we say or feel if we communicate it in a nice way, in a respectful way, even if it is disagreeable. But if persons are respectful while they disagree, it will not ruin or the relationship. It will not be the cause for it to break. Usually what causes a relationship to break is not actually the little disagreements themselves, but it's how people deal with each other, how they treat each other. They're not being kind and caring, respectful, supportive, encouraging, and so forth and so on. So to communicate in a caring manner and to let the other person know that, I'm sorry, I do not agree with this, but I will always love you. And let us try to find a solution together. Let's try to see how we can make this work somehow. Maybe there's a compromise. So that's we have a couple of questions here already from the chat. One of them is, why does it seem that I never find the right person to love me? Oh, that's a long topic, but basically it might be that you're looking in the wrong place or your expectations are really, really high. But actually, from deep within, because we're spiritual beings, we're looking for perfect spiritual love, right? And all the personalities in this material dimension, we are covered one degree or another almost all, not all of them, but almost all, by different material qualities. Yeah, and so we have really, as a society, more or less forgotten how to love unconditionally. Yeah, so actually, real love is so rare these days that we actually need to relearn how to love. Yes, and so yeah, we need to be very careful and selective who we enter into relationships with. But at the same time, the focus shouldn't be like, oh, the perfect person to love me, but rather, like I said before, what we can actually focus on more instead is, why am I not loving others very much? How come my unconditional love is very, very small? And when I make choices, lifestyle choices, or I make choices, that I want to be in the light of love rather than the darkness of lust. I want to become more caring, giving person rather than taking, using, exploiting. Then I will automatically be attracting similar-minded people. So I have to be conscientious, and we have to be very clear what we're expecting from a relationship. Yeah, that we actually, you know, are very open and honest from the beginning. We don't play these games and put our fake side forward, trying to trick the other person to a relationship. I need to find out, the two people are actually having completely different ideas and goals, what they want to accomplish in this human journey, and sooner or later it's bye time, because it's just not really working out too well. So another question: how do men to breaking relationship due to betrayal? Yeah, that's of course very, very difficult. When there's trust that has been broken, a person can be sorry, so sorry, but it's not going to be the same for a long, long time. That there's always in the back of the mind that feeling like, oh, you know, is he or she going to be looking for somebody else again? And basically it's like, oh, I'm not good enough. This is feeling to you, just like, oh, you don't love me, you're just going, looking for other people. And so that is very complicated, and it can be done, but it requires a lot of patience and care and kindness, and also from the person who was betrayed. Because if they keep bringing it up for years on end, and the other person was really sorry, and they're controlling their actions, and they're basically saying, oh, I told you 1,000 times it's not going to happen again. I made a single mistake. I'm really sorry, but please don't keep bringing it up every day. Because that can also become, a source of conflict. So it's the focus should always be like, how can I become more caring, more loving myself? Yeah. And then basically understand, why did the other person really do this? Maybe they were just controlled by lust, or maybe you know they were just in a bad state. So the question, of course, is, not all relationships should be mended. Some relationships were entered into for the wrong reasons, and they really cannot work very well. Yes, some people they have such completely different personalities, and they just basically somehow got together, for the wrong reasons, and then later on you're trying to make it work out, and it's just never really working out. So, and then you're saying, oh, if this person only changed, or that person only changed, and so it cannot always be done. We need to be realistic there. So the focus really should be on being very careful and patient before entering a very committal relationship. That we actually get to know each other very well. We get to see, the person's good sides and maybe their shortcomings, and then we know, can I tolerate this or not? Different people have different tolerance levels, different thresholds, what they can manage with. Like somebody might be, oh, there's so many things that could happen, but different people handle situations completely different. Yeah. So that's why, if you're in a relationship with a certain person and you can tolerate their personality or their shortcomings, good. But somebody else might be completely different and cannot handle that. And so then, it's kind of sad how people sometimes just rush into things without carefully considering whether this is going to work out. And then they keep rushing from one to the next, to the next, to the next, and keep making the same mistakes. And so relationships can actually be a source of great joy. Great. It's very good when it becomes real friendship. Real trust, real caring. So another question is how to have a sustainable marriage relationship. And so there are certain qualities that make a marriage relationship successful. Yeah, so a few of them we might have mentioned already in passing here today, but let us look at them in more detail. So the first one is to show respect. We have a tendency to be respectful to strangers, to so many different people, but sometimes not to those who are closest to us. There's a familiarity breeds contempt, right? And so this is very dangerous. When we're not respectful with somebody else, this can be a cause of many, many problems. And it's really, we should be respectful to everybody, yeah? Whether we agree with somebody or not, or whether we like what they're doing or not. But respect should be there in the way how we treat somebody else, or, you don't just start beating up somebody else who we disagree with here just because they have the wrong belief or something, right? No, you're respectful. You can respectfully disagree. Yeah. So the second quality for a sustainable, successful marriage relationship is to be tolerant. Yeah, we already mentioned this. Just all the little things, just let it go by. Don't bring up every little thing that is not, exactly how you would do it, or how I would do it, because I'm not the measuring stick for perfection. Everybody else has to align with that, and so nor is the other person, obviously. So both persons should be tolerant, and those insignificant things, the passing small things, just let it be. Focus on the big things. And if there is something there that needs to be worked out, improved, then yes, we should try to bring that up in a respectful way. And the next quality is to be supportive. We already mentioned that. Yeah, when somebody is not feeling so well, maybe they're having a hard time, maybe they made some mistakes, be supportive, be there for them. Not, speak down to them from a superior position, making them feel like, oh, you idiot, Should always consider that actually I'm fully capable of making similar mistakes as others. Yeah. So the next quality is to be understanding. Yeah, that we try to place ourselves in their shoes. We try to understand what are they going through, where they're coming from, what are they currently experiencing and feeling. Can we listen? Yeah, understanding also means to listen, to actually care enough to just try to find out, what is going on. The next quality, where we talked a lot about this, strive for perfection yourself, but don't expect it from your spouse. Yes, this is very, very important. Another quality is to be encouraging. This is similar to being supportive. I think everybody knows what that means, like, so for example, you're dealing with a child or a teenager, and they're trying to learn something, but they have a hard time applying it, and they, we have to be patient and encouraging. Another quality is to be slow to judge. Yeah, this is also in connection with being tolerant. Yeah, so that when something happens, we don't immediately just like, oh, what is this? What is this? No, we try to find out what is the reason for the situation to come about. Maybe there is some information, something that I don't know yet. Yeah, that I actually try to find out, why did this person actually say this? Yeah, or do that? You know, so so be slow to judge. Give people benefit of a doubt. Yeah, like they say, the person is innocent until proven guilty. Yeah, we shouldn't like make these preeminent, you know, judgments as like, oh, that person must be guilty, when we actually don't know everything, right? So another quality to have a sustainable marriage relationship is to apologize when you are wrong, even if the other is more wrong. Oh, that can be difficult, yeah? Like if we feel a little bit hurt or upset, we want the other person to basically grovel and say, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And then out of our kindness, we're going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I forgive you, Just like, well, but if the other person is not in that state of mind and they are having a hard time to say sorry, then what are we going to do? We're going to hold on to our anger. Oh, how come they're not coming yet to say sorry? Just like, actually, well, maybe I am 20, 30, 40% contributing to this situation, so I'm also partly at fault. And not to try to think about who is at fault more or less or something. It's just like, let it go. Remember, as a marriage relationship, you should be supposedly working as a team together, not working against each other, like who is better or more right. It's all just, irrelevant, really. So the best thing is to look at it and consider, just like, is there anything I could have done better? And usually there is. And then I can be the first one to say sorry. Even the other person was perhaps more wrong. But then what happens? Immediately, the relationship, there's an opportunity for both persons to say, oh, I'm sorry too, and let's not do that again, and boom, move on from it. Yeah. Just like when we are in this darkness of anger and wanting revenge, or even just expecting the other person is like, oh, come on, it's your turn to say sorry. It's just like, it's not a very happy state of being, right? We're not being joyful, carefree. We're always focusing on that stuff still that happened. We can't move on from it. Yeah. And connected to this, of course, the next quality is to be forgiving. Yeah. So that also we're quick to forgive. It's easy for us to say I'm sorry, but we're also quick to forgive if somebody comes to us. Yeah, I don't want to hold on to that anger at somebody else. Yeah. So another quality is to accept responsibility for your own misery. Wow, don't we have this wonderful tendency to always blame everybody else for our problems? It's like, you made me angry, you did this wrong, you did that. It's just like, and then the other person says, yeah, and you chose to enter this relationship, so you have at least partly responsibility too. Yeah. So actually, our original spiritual condition is that we are blissful, we are satisfied, we're content, we're happy, in other words, that we don't feel like there's anything missing. Whereas in the material dimension, usually we feel there's something missing. There's some emptiness in our heart, and we try to fill it up with some relationships, some things of this world. And, we usually find out sooner or later it's not enough. Yeah, my heart is still looking for more, looking for more. And then, if I'm really on a bummer or unhappy, then it's actually because of me. I should never place that responsibility, that burden on someone else in this world to make me completely happy. And then if they don't do it, it's their fault. It's not my fault for expecting that. No, it's a fault of the other person, that they're not the perfect supreme being to make me completely satisfied and happy, right? And so I think that's pretty clear, that we have to take responsibility for our actions, for the choices that we made, and try to make better choices, now in the present. And one final piece of advice, to have a successful marriage relationship is to be humble and compassionate, and put the supreme, put the spiritual first. That we actually want to have a real relationship of love, spiritual. So that's actually pretty much all I wanted to say about this topic for now. There's a lot more that could be said. Let's see if there's any more comments or questions. So it's interesting because not that long ago, maybe 50 years ago, marriage was supposed to be for life, right? Until death shall part us, through the good and the bad. People were actually aware of the dualities of this material dimension, that you can't just have the good without the bad. But it seems like this has changed a lot, especially in the last few decades, where there's increasingly divorces after a very short amount of time, often just a couple years or so. And what do they call it? Irreconcilable differences. It's like, well, how come you couldn't find that out before you got married? I mean, it's kind of silly, actually, yeah? So it's kind of, people are in this kind of dream state or hypnosis or illusion or something. Oh, I found the perfect person, and you kind of overlook all the red flags and the imperfections of the other person, until suddenly that bubble pops, and now after you're married, after a while, and you live with them, and after a while you start to realize all the things that you didn't want to see before. Now you become aware of them, and they actually irritate you, right? And then people make statements like, oh, if I had only known that you're like this, I would have never married you. Just like, hello, it was already there, you just didn't want to see it, right? So it's actually important that we have this expectation. There will be difficult times. It's not always all going to be good. Yeah, the dualities of this world is going to be good times and not so good times. And when it means that we're selecting somebody to get married to, this should be done very thoroughly and carefully, that this is the end of my search. This is the person who I am committing to stay with for the rest of this human journey. Yeah, and I know there will be imperfections. Maybe I'm not aware of them right now, but again, take your time. Don't rush into things. You don't have to be married after 2 months of knowing somebody, So this is really important, because nowadays marriage is no longer sacred, it seems, at least for a good amount of people. It's supposed to be a sacred union. It should be an offering. It should be people should be getting married, basically, not as some kind of arrangement or contract or so that there can be some mutual exploitation or something, but rather that they help each other on the spiritual journey to, get back to our original home, to our real home, to our original spiritual consciousness. Yes, so that should be the main goal. This will be what we will get to keep after these bodies come to an end. Yeah, we will get to keep all the spiritual gains that we have made, but everything else that's material, whether it's houses, cars, bank accounts, any kind of possession, even materialistic relationships, unless they are spiritualized, they will come to an end and there will be not much to show for it. So one more comment here. Well, we were brainwashed from the early age. Disneyland stories, and they live happily ever after, but they never taught patience, tolerance, and unconditional love. Yeah, this is true, actually. What societies have been teaching in the last few decades, it's actually very, very destructive. We're not being taught these virtues of patience, tolerance, forgiveness, compassion, what to speak of really loving others. Yeah. So instead, people are kind of in this dream state, like, oh, no, we're going to get married and we're going to live happily ever after, as if that happens automatically when you say, yes, I do. Just like, no, the actual work starts after that. Yes. And we know, of course, that longing to live happily ever after comes directly from the living being, yeah, from us, the eternal spirit soul. Yes, it doesn't come from the body or the mind. The body and the mind are material and temporary, yeah, but we are eternal spiritual beings. And that's where this eternal longing comes from, to have an eternal, lasting relationship, because this is our natural condition. But we cannot have this here in the material dimension with material personalities. This is a whole problem, like the other question earlier, where we keep looking for the perfect person to love me. But, in this dimension, you're going to have a really, really hard time to find that, and even if you do, it's going to be temporary. So we need to be spiritualizing our relationships. Then this longing to live happily ever after, it is possible, but it must be found in the spiritual dimension. It must be found in spiritual relationships that are motivated by love and selflessness, not by this thinking, just like, I want this, I want that, I'm the center of everything, I'm the center of this relationship. And if the other person feels the same way, then there's always this business deal. Yeah, it's like, okay, I give you this and you give me that, and then both people are making these kind of tabulations as if they're doing, accounting here or something. Well, I have received this much and I've gotten that much. I've given that much. Oh, I've given more than I received. That's not good. This is a losing endeavor here. Yet they're treated like they're running a business sometimes. If it wasn't so sad, it's actually funny in a sense, but it's more sad. But this is what we have to be aware of, that we are not being influenced by all these material forces that are basically have been encouraging people to become more and more self-centered, live for yourself, and pursue these material dreams that actually never end well. Yeah, so I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for your wonderful questions and comments. And we will now be having a few more minutes of Gauranga music meditation. You can listen and sing along if you like. Gauranga, 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 So this Goranga meditation actually is the easiest, but yet most effective type of medication. It is meditation. Yeah, also medication is not wrong. And it actually, the spiritual sound is so powerful that it purifies our heart and our mind. And it actually is the main purifying agent that will help us to actually go through the changes that we want to make here, that we actually want to become a nicer person. So this is a proven process. Millions of people through our time have followed this mantra meditation. And if a person regularly practices this, has a little bit of sincerity, the success is guaranteed. It's like a scientific process, actually. It works for everybody who applies it in the right way. So we hope this was of some interest today to you, and that you will add this Goranga meditation to your daily lives. Thank you very much, and we will see you hopefully again next Tuesday. Namaste.